Hi everyone, it's Lou Collins for CraftStash. Today I want to run through a beautiful but very simple card to put together utilising your distress inks or oxides or any other sort of blending inks that you have at home. It's a quick technique to give you a sort of moon in a starlit sky effect and a silhouette. Now the perfect die for this is the Cardmaking Magic Stand Proud Peacock. This is absolutely beautiful. Because it's a silhouette, I don't have to worry about colouring the actual peacock itself, and I can put any colour behind it. Now this is part of a Just Peacocks range from Cardmaking Magic. It's brand new. I will run through the items in a little while for you. Let's get started with the tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is ink up the panel that's going to go behind the peacock. So I have already got a piece of black cardstock that I'm going to cut that from in a little while, but let's work on this first. So I have cut this cardstock so that it's going to fit the height of my panel here, or the front part, because this is going to be cut and attached separately. Now I work on one panel and then I usually go and transfer that onto a second panel of cardstock afterwards. This is just going to give me a really strong base. So I've got my card. This is around about, if I just measure it in inches, so you're looking at just over 6.5 inches. So it's going to fit perfectly inside a 7 by 7 inch envelope. Now I would like this to look as if there is a beautiful moon sitting just behind the peacock here. I think that's going to look absolutely stunning, and then a night sky, lovely night sky colours in the background. So we don't want the background to be too dark, because then the black silhouette is going to just fade into it. We do want the colours to still pop even though we're trying to go for darker colours. So my moon is going to be, as I say, let's just measure that again. Going to be around about here. I've got a circle die. This is from, again, from Creative Craft Products from CraftStash. So that's going to sit, I think about there would be nice for the moon. So I will just take a pencil and just on the inside or the outside, doesn't really matter, a very light pencil line, just so I've got a rough guide as to where I'm going to put that. Now I need to cut myself a scrap of cardstock from this circle die. Okay, so I have this ready when I need it. Now to add a little bit of colour and texture to the moon itself, and I'm going to do that using a pale grey ink. So this is a distress oxide called Pumice Stone is the colour. You could do this in a very pale blue, a very pale yellow. You could even use a really watered down black or charcoal grey if that's what you've got to hand. But I think this colour is absolutely perfect for what I want to do. So I'm going to spritz this with some water, quite a bit of water there. And then I'm going to take this over onto my cardstock. And I'm not going to worry about keeping just in the circle, but I'm going to dab this over. I'm arching the acetate. This is a blending mat. This is from CraftStash. This comes in a set with an A4 and a 6x6 mat, so I'm using the 6x6 here, and I'm just, as you can see, just arching it, dabbing, and get all sorts of different effects. So as you can see, I've kind of got a mottled effect there. I've gone way over the pencil marks. I'm not at all concerned about that, and I'm just going to heat set this before I decide if I need to repeat that. So if I hold that up, you can just about see we've got some texture in there. The cardstock's still a little bit damp, so you've kind of got this bubbling effect to the cardstock. I think I am going to repeat that once more to give it even more texture, so probably with a little bit less water and a little bit less ink. So exactly the same again. Smooch or press some ink onto your acetate and a little bit of water. Like I say, less water this time. See if I can get a slightly stronger result, and I'm going to just tap this on, just lifting up the edges of the acetate and arching until I'm happy. I've got quite a random effect there. What I really don't want is any lines. So I think that's probably done the job. Again, I'm just going to thoroughly dry that off. Okay, now to really create the magic. I've got the circle that I cut out when we started here, and I'm going to place this back over. If you want to at this stage, you can erase your pencil lines. As long as your ink is dry, you shouldn't have any problem doing that. So I'm going to go round. I've just got the eraser that's on the end of my pencil. That will do absolutely fine. Just take those lines off. We've got a rough idea as to where our moon will be. Place our circle over the top. I prefer not to stick this down if I can help it, because then usually you get the issue of it tearing the paper when you lift it up. Now the first thing I'm going to do is add a touch, and really just the tiniest touch of a yellow. This is just going to show that sort of glow from the moon that you'd have in the night sky, and this is going to go around the outside of this circle here. So I'm using a scattered straw, which is a very pale yellow here. As you can see, it's really, really pale. You can probably only just see it, but it does make that glow of the moon effect look perfect. And I'm probably bringing that out around about 1 centimetre from the edge of my circle cardstock, going directly over the paper. I'm not worried because I'll reveal that in a little while. Then I'm going to move on to my next colour, which is a pale blue. I've got Stormy Sky, and I'm going to start working, rather than the circles that I'd usually work in, I'm actually going to work in swoops, in circles instead, so like this. So I'm going to start where I'd like the blue and gradually build that up so that I get full coverage without any of those lines in. It's much easier to build up your shape in this way. So going up to and kind of just against the yellow for the time being, but we will build that up a little bit more, and we will come back to our yellow too. Now what I really like about this particular cardstock here is that I'm getting a little bit of a mottled effect. I think I probably picked up the wrong cardstock, which should be something like a watercolour cardstock. This is probably a smooth stamping one, which you do need to use smooth cardstock for ink blending, but some cardstocks aren't ideal because they absorb the ink in uneven ways. So this is one of them, so I'm getting this sort of mottling effect. It would disappear if I fully saturated the cardstock with ink. I'm probably not going to do that right here though, because I think that actually adds to the texture in the night sky. Now I'm coming back with my yellow, and I'm just very lightly going to blend that blue, those blue edges in. So just going over ever so lightly with that blue, yellow over the blue, building that up, and then I can come back with what's on my brush here and do the same. You want to make sure your moon looks pretty even all the way round, so a bit more yellow at the bottom I think, and then blend that out. Oops, I've gone into the yellow there. It happens. There we go. There we go. So now I'm starting to go back over with heavier ink application on the blue, filling in some of those white spaces and just fading it out. So I've gone around a few inches there. I'm kind of happy with how that is. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to leave that there and do a bit of a reveal at the end, I think, if I can. Next, I'm going to go into a much darker blue. Now, again, I always keep the brush from the previous colour handy because I'll come back and use that to help blend in. So this one is Prize Ribbon. It's kind of like a royal blue. You can see we're really starting to get into the night sky colour, the brighter colours. So again, working in those sweeping motions, but we will build this up so you won't see any brush marks. Let's just hold this still. Now all the time I'm actually working on a clear matte again, and this is the other half of those blending mats that I spoke about. So this is the A4 size one that I'm now working on. I've always got one of these underneath if I'm doing any sort of ink blending. This is just going to protect my surface. So bringing this down into that grey blue and building up the colour. There we go. I'm really excited to see how this looks when it's finished, but I wanted to add a little bit of warmth to this as well, so I'm going to bring in a purple. So this is Villainous Potion, which is the darkest purple in the Distress range, and this is just going to go into the rest of the card, everything here that is left white, and blend up nicely into that blue. It's going to take a little while because I've got quite a bit of space to fill. Lastly, once again, I'm going to come back in with my previous colour, which is my royal blue, and just work that through. Make sure that we've got a nice blend line and not too obvious a join between any of the colours. Now I'm also going to give this a spritz of water. This is going to lift up some of the colour from the paper and give us a starry, sort of starry night sky effect. You can do this in two ways. If you want really small speckles, a light mist is perfect. If you want bigger spots, then putting it into your hand and flicking it, or flicking it with a paintbrush, is the best way for that. I'm going to do a light mist this time, so a very light mist on both sides, and just allow that. You'll start to see gradually sort of little speckles coming along. Now this is going to give us, like I say, tiny little stars, but I may well take a white paint, which is something that I come to very often, and flick a little bit of that as well. So this is just a little pot of white paint. It's actually sort of calligraphy paint, but anything like an acrylic paint that you've got at home is going to be absolutely fine. Water it down so that it's nice and thin and easy to flick off your brush. Take off the excess and just do some little flicks over there. You don't have to wait for the ink to be dry for this. You can do it at this stage. Now I'm going to pop this aside because I don't want to smudge my white paint or anything. Pop that aside while we cut the peacock shape out. As I said, I've got a piece of black cardstock ready, and we have the one die. It's really quick. You just need to cut this particular die. This will go through, for example, my smaller die cutting machine. So this is my Big Shot. It'll go through here absolutely perfectly. The cardstock I'm using is around about 220 GSM, so it's going to be a nice weight for the card base. As you can see straight away, that die cut so beautifully. Now we have a score line down here, so I'm just gently going to fold this score line. That happens naturally when you're die cutting. You don't need to do anything else to create that score line. I'm going to take myself a double-sided tape and just pop that on the inside of this tab here. So all the way up the edge. And now I'm going to bring in my panel, so we can now do the reveal. So remove our paper, and as you can see, we've just got this beautiful moon there. It looks absolutely perfect. So let's reveal the tape, pop our panel on here up to the score line, just making sure the top and bottom are level as well. Press that down and being careful just in case there's any damp pieces on the white paint still. I'm going to fold this over, and look at that. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? What I really love about this as well is you get that shadow underneath that just makes it look even more dimensional. Now you could add a hint of gilding wax to the edge of this if you wanted to add a glow from the moon, something like that. A simple sentiment on the black would look beautiful, stamped maybe and embossed in white. But I think this is absolutely gorgeous. Such an easy effect and a really great way to practice your ink blending. Now for me personally, I would put a panel on the back. I would cover that over just to strengthen the card base, and then I'd leave an area for writing my message as well. But that's not only a card, it's also a beautiful feature that could be used as a home decor piece or even framed. So if you love this die, you're also going to love the rest of the Just Peacocks collection. So I'll just run you through a few of these very quickly. We have the background die there, the cover plate die. We have the beautiful element here, which is like an envelope pocket that you can add to your cards with the peacock feathers. We have a large embossing folder here as well. We also have the gate folds that you can use. You could actually do these in a very similar way. We have a beautiful large feather die and some sentiments that coordinate. We have some gorgeous papers. These are all 5 by 7 inch. There's 6 different designs in there, sorry, 4 of each. And then we have another all over background embossing folder too. This one's been using the Stand Proud die. You'll find that linked just up here. If you like this video, we'd love it if you could subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check out this video just here, which we think you'll like too.